morning, good afternoon, good evening, whichever part of the world you are joining us from. A very warm welcome to all of you to day 14 of the Global Sustainable Development Summit 2021 for unlocking the potential of SMEs for SDGs. Today, we will be focusing exclusively on SDG 13 climate action and how SMEs can contribute towards achieving this global goal by 2030. To open this summit, we have with us Mr. Shalin Shah with a session on climate action, a strategic imperative. Mr. Shalin Shah is the head of sustainability and environment, Adani Ports and Special Economic Zone Limited, and he has been working with ABSIS since April 2011 and as a head of environment department of Adani Ports and Logistics since November 2015, covering 11 port locations and logistics sites across the country. He has more than 23 years of experience in the field of environment management. Experience on coastal regulation zone, environment impact assessments, climate change mitigation and adaptation, value addition to waste, cleaner production, waste to energy, clean development mechanism, and multilateral environmental agreements. He is in charge of finalizing strategy for carbon neutrality, SBTI, and pathway to net zero for Adani Ports and Adani Airports. Let me proudly invite Mr. Shalin Shah for his session on climate action, a strategic imperative. Over to you, Mr. Shah.
Yeah, very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all. I'm very happy to be part of this Global Sustainable Development Summit 2021. I must congratulate the organizers of this particular event for addressing this particular important SDG 13, which is climate action. So today I'm going to share our experience as part of our journey on this particular aspect, climate action, as part of our Adani Ports and Special Economic Zone. I am Shalin Shah. I'm heading the Sustainability and Environment for Adani Ports and Special Economic Zone. On this particular climate action topic, first of all, we need to understand about global risk, which have been mapped by the World Economic Forum in their annual report 2021. We all are witness that there are extreme weather related events, the climate action failure related considerations. They are part of top global risk in terms of likelihood and impacts since many years, and they are of significant importance, and they have been reported under the first and the second most risk which have been noticed all over the globe. So climate change and the related aspects becomes significantly important for all of us to understand when we want to address this particular SDG 13. To moving ahead, the Science Direct has published one beautiful article in which they have given an very in-depth understanding of when we want to address this sustainable development goal 13, how it is interlinked to the other SDGs as well. To start with, all the SDGs are broadly classified into four different areas: resource use, earth system, governance and infrastructure, and human development. Now, when we want to address the climate change and related impacts, and in particularly SDG 13, it has a direct relation to SDG 2, which is zero hunger. Through this particular SDG, we need to address the food security, which is a major challenge for the entire world. Then comes the clean water and sanitation. We all are aware that water availability is going to be major challenge all over the world. So we need to understand these particular aspects as well. For affordable and clean energy is another SDG, where how the low cost electricity as well as low carbon electricity will be made available for all the consumers across the world. Then comes life on land, where species abundance and biodiversity is one of the major area which we need to understand in terms of impacts and how we are going to tackle it. Then comes the good health and well-being. We all are witness air pollution and health. how important it is for all of us to maintain a good health and well-being. So this particular SDG has also direct relation to good health and well-being. Then comes the decent work and economic growth. World also needs economic growth, but what will be the carbon pricing and mitigation cost in order to achieve the economic growth? That has a direct importance when we address the SDG 13. So this is an overview of SDG 13 and its linkages with other SDGs. Now we all are aware that SDG 13, there are 5 major targets which have been set up. Climate change is inevitable. Therefore, there is a need to strengthen resilience and adaptive capacity to climate related disasters. That is target 13.1. Then target 13.2 talks about integrate climate change measures into policies and planning. We already are having many policies and already planning in place, but it needs continuous improvement in those policies and planning in the coming times. Then climate change related awareness has already started. So also we need to build knowledge and capacity to address the climate change. That is target 13.3. Then target 13A talks about the implement the United Nations framework on climate change, a convention on climate change that we all are aware. And 13B talks about very important promote mechanisms to raise capacities for climate planning and management. Now, this talks about various mechanisms through which we can raise capacities into our planning and management. So, as part of our journey, we have understood this SDG 13 very well. And now I would like to present APSEZ business case that how we have tried to address this SDG 13 through our activities and action. Just to give you an overview about APSEZ, our presence is presently in 3 countries and in 14 Indian states, all across the Indian coastal peninsula states. We are the leaderboard #1 Indian port with a market share of 25%, with a workforce of 20,000 plus people. So we understand the significance of our presence and related climate issues, what we are witnessing and will be witness in future. Our previous financial year's revenue was 1.8 billion US dollars with EBITDA of 1.15 billion US dollars. In Indian maps, these locations are visible. We have a significant capacity developed in terms of handling the cargo of various categories as part of our nation building. And we are ready to face any challenge which is coming in front of us to address this climate change related issues. And this learning we have gained over a period of time by understanding and improving our knowledge and putting them into the practices. Today, we are member of United Nations Global Compact, also member of IUCN and India Business Biodiversity Board. The more importantly, our management is very committed for climate change related impacts on account of us, as well as providing solutions and resolutions as part of not only uh, a company's commitment but also the contributing to nation's commitment by signing science-based target initiatives with a scenario of 1.5 degrees centigrade. Then we are supporter of task force on climate related financial disclosures, CO water mandate, sustainable development goals, and also committed for carbon neutrality by 2025, which is the earliest. We are making disclosures to various rating agencies across the world. Just to brief on one of them is under CDP 2020, we have been rated B minus under climate change and B. These are the leadership bands for water security and supplier engagement rating. Taking it forward, we have developed and visualized the big goals for Adani Ports and Special Economic Zone Limited. The first of which is green company. Now, what we mean by green company? So we have set our roadmap to become a carbon neutral port, water positive company, biodiversity conservation, zero waste company, climate resilient infrastructure, green procurement, green building, energy and water security. Second goal is the social responsible company, by which we want to be zero safety incident organization, zero tolerance for human rights violation, zero tolerance for corruption and bribery, best place to work, improving human development index, customer centricity, local economic development, sustainable supply chain. Then smart company is our third goal, through process automation, real-time data and dashboards, zero security breaches, supporting innovations and R&D, patents and intellectual property rights. And final goal is globally admire company through positive legal compliance, then commitment for global cause, high ethical standards, leadership position for ESG rating, strong policy framework, strong corporate governance, and grievance redressal. Many of these milestones we have achieved, and further milestones we are in the journey of achieving it with the support from our stakeholders. As far as the emission profile of Adani Ports and Special Economic Zone is concerned, this particular slides gives you an overview that where we stand today. As far as the scope 1 emissions are concerned, which is happening through our own and controlled equipments and machineries, the 17% of our emissions are on account of scope 1, 28% of our emissions are on account of scope 2, and all remaining, meaning around 55% of our emissions are on account of scope 3. Scope 3 emissions are happening on account of both the sides, upstream activities as well as downstream activities. Now, both these areas are important for us in order to address the climate action in totality as part of our strategic action. For upstream activities, our major contribution is through incoming vessels through which we handle our cargoes, and fuel and energy related activities through those vessels. So 40% of our emissions as part of scope 1 comes from that particular activity. And as far as the downstream activities are concerned, again, 7% is through transportation and distribution activities and leased assets, which contributes to 1%. There are other components as well. So these are the broader classification of our emission profile. Taking it forward, the previous year, our emission footprint was around 8,48,000 tons of CO2 equivalent emissions. If we break them into various scopes, scope 1 is around 15%, scope 2 is around 29%, scope 3 is around 55 to 56%. We are fully aware about all our operations activities, what we are doing, where we are contributing to the greenhouse gas emissions, and now which are the areas for us to focus in order to decarbonize our operations and achieve the carbon neutrality or the science based targets, for which we have a very strategic planning in place, which I would like to discuss. Yeah. So what we found that through our proactive actions and vision, we are leader among the leaders. We are disclosing our emissions. We are disclosing material scope 3 emissions as well. We have set carbon neutrality targets, and we have also set SBTi targets uh, and its scope. So we are leading in globally in terms of disclosures and leading with earliest carbon neutrality targets besides SBTi commitments. And we are committed to also develop a strategy for pathway to net zero. That will be, we are going to announce during COP26, which will be held in November this year. As part of our strategy, how to achieve a green future, we have a 4 pillar strategy which has been developed and now under implementation. What we are focusing right now is also the improvement in our all operations and activities and achieve the efficiency in terms of our energy consumptions as well as emissions. We have set targets keeping FY16 as baseline, and by FY25 we will require to reduce our energy intensity and emission intensity by 50% per crore of revenue generated. This is what the target we have set for Adani Ports and Special Economic Zone. In addition to that, we have adopted another measure in terms of fuel switch. Wherever we are consuming diesel, and if there is a possibility for electrification, those technologies we have identified, we are in collaboration with suppliers, and now we are in the pathway for transition from diesel to electrification. So our scope 1 emissions will directly reduce and it will be decarbonized. Operations will be decarbonized. We are aware that scope 1 emissions, when it will be electrified, it will add to the scope 2. So entire gamut of our scope 2 emissions, we will convert through renewable source of energy. So we are going to invest very heavily. We have already started and we are on the pathway to handle all our operations wherever electricity are required, that is through renewable source of energy. And finally, wherever there are presently technology limitations are there, we are want to set up pilots, carry out pilots in order to check the feasibility. But as we are committed for carbon neutrality by 2025, the remaining of our emissions we will achieve through offset. We will neutralize through offsets and we will become the carbon neutral port. So this is a strategy already devised for APSEZ and we are on the pathway. Yeah, just to give you a little more details, as part of scope 1 emissions, these are the major equipments, vehicles which we use as part of our various operations for handling cargo at ports and logistics services. Yeah, so here we can see that out of this 9 equipments and vehicles which we use, it contributes to 97% of my emissions. Now here, for locos, cranes, ITVs and dumpers, there are already technology available and which we started electrifying. For tugs and dredgers, which contributes to 65% of my scope 1 emissions, today there are no feasible technologies available. So we are exploring the technology by developing pilots using hydrogen and green ammonia. For other equipments like dozer, excavator, staker, also we are exploring either electrification or other form of low carbon fuels. So we are fully aware that where we are leading and what we are required to achieve. For scope 2 emissions, our requirement is very, very simple. Whatever electricity demand we have, keeping in mind scope 1 additional electricity requirement, we are going to invest very heavily in renewable energy, and that is how we are going to neutralize scope 2 emissions. This particular slide maybe looks clumsy, but I would like to here highlight that as part of our commitment to also address scope 3 emissions, when we are going to decide on our target to achieve SBTI as well as pathway to net zero. Since many years, we have started addressing, measuring, and reporting scope 3 emissions. Out of 15 different categories, we have categorized them into relevance and control. So there are 4 different classification: relevance, no control; relevance, have control; not relevant; and not applicable. So we found that 8 out of 15 categories are relevant and no control, or relevant and have control. So both these categories we have started addressing, and now we want to address them through appropriate actions and partnership, thereby also contributing to a major chunk of scope 3 in future. So another key initiatives what we have already implemented is through mangrove plantation. We have already carried out 3,000 hectares of mangrove afforestation in the country. and we have taken a commitment of additional 1000 hectare of mangrove afforestation. Similarly, 945 hectare of terrestrial plantation we have already completed, and additional 250 hectare of plantation will be completed by FY25. So these are our initiatives and measures to generate offsets which will help us neutralize our scope 1 emissions. Now, all these particular uh, activities, I want to summarize, for scope 1 and 2 emissions abatement, we have assessed the maximum extent of electrification that can be done to address scope 1, then address scope 2 emissions increase from scope 1 diesel electrification, then map current and future maturity of electrifying port equipments and vehicles, build the plan of electrification. Then for scope 3 emissions abatement, techno-commercial feasibility required to be done for shore to power. For vessel emissions, identify pilot projects, as I have said, work with contractors to assess the maximum extent of electrification possible, where a role of MSME will come into the picture. Work with port sustainability forums, such as World Port Sustainability Program, on key hard to abate emission reduction projects. Now, understanding this particular roles and responsibility, I would also like to highlight that how we are linked with MSME and what we are trying to achieve through MSME. We believe that MSME is an engine of our economy. Large enterprises are having resources and knowledge which they derive only from MSME, either through services, either through material, or either through manpower. As, as part of Conference of Parties Paris 2015, India is reported that India intends to reduce its emission intensity by 33 to 35% below 2005 levels by 2030. In TERI 2018 report, they have reported that the industrial sector has a share of 58% in the total energy consumption of our country. MSME contributes to about 13% of our annual global final energy consumption. It is only 13% as far as the International Energy Agency report of 2015. But now, significant point here to understand is the total GHG emissions from manufacturing industries are 300 million metric tons per CO2 per annum, out of which MSME sector is projected to contribute around 135 million metric ton per annum, which is almost 40%. So MSME sector contributes to about 8% of India's GDP and over 45% of overall industrial requirements. Yeah. So if we need to understand MSME in holistic manner in terms of climate impacts, they are contributing to climate change impacts, as well as they are most vulnerable also to climate change risk. Now, what we mean by that? The climate change impacts, because they are 13%, they consumed approximately 13% of coal and lignite, 7% of our petroleum products, 8% of our natural gas. So they are naturally contributing to the climate change and creating an impact. But they are equally vulnerable to climate change risk. Why? Because they have an impact in the form of damage to the infrastructure and assets, impact on people. The policy changes also impacts them. There are reputational risks to them. Market preference is also impacting them, and technology change is definitely impacting them. And therefore, there are challenges as well as their requirement of support. Now, they have a challenges of lack of awareness, which we need to build capacities, then formal financing structures, and extensive procedural requirements. So these are the challenges which they are facing. And as far as the support is concerned, they make the climate finance ecosystem MSME friendly. This is the requirement of today in order to support the MSME. Then change eligibility requirements for MSMEs and financial institutions catering to them. Then reimagining the role of financing institutions. By providing this support only, we can sustain MSME to cope up with the climate change related impacts and risk. Now, where we stand today, as far as the energy schemes are concerned, and as far as the India is concerned, Government of India has announced numerous of schemes for MSME, which some or other way trying to help them to improve their performance as well as providing support for their sustainability. But the major question is, are they adequate? Are they really addressing the concerns what we are facing today? Are they really helpful to the future what we want to see? And therefore, as far as the carbon markets which is emerging is concerned, there are few more actions and activities which are required to be taken. There is a concept of clustered cap and trade. This is required to be introduced so that, as far as the MSME is concerned, so that coverage based on regions and cluster can be developed and MSME can also be benefited. Then sectoral allowance and trade. This also needs to be introduced so that coverage based on specific industrial sectors can be brought into this particular segment. Energy.
Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Shah. We are on time.
I will be finishing in 1 minute.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So energy or pollutant mechanism. So through which extension of perform achievement trade scheme, which is presently for large scale industries, which requires to be extended and developed for MSME sectors to benefit them. Then goal induced offset program for MSMEs to become suppliers of credits based on CDM mechanism. Then development credits. So MSMEs to get development credits. So these are the few future-based activities and programs which we need to build to strengthen MSME to meet with the challenges with respect to climate action. So that's all from my side. Thank you very much for allowing me to present my views. I will be happy to address anything.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Shalin Shah. That was an amazing session. And we can see that you are doing an amazing job at SEZ towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. And I think we have to train more businesses to follow the same path. Wish you all the best as you present these achievements at COP26. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much.